export percentage is rising year on year basis. भारत पहले बहुत सारी चीज़ों का इंपोर्ट करता था फ्रेंड्स. नाउ इंडिया इज़ हैविंग मोर एंड मोर एक्सपोर्ट पोटेंशियल इन कोविड सिचुएशन. कोविड सिनेरियो के बाद भी हमने देखा कि हम बहुत सारी चीज़ों को वर्ल्ड मार्केट में फ्रीली ट्रेड एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. So financial year first we see there was 20 billion of trade which was reduced to a billion level of 0 percentile, rises to a 30 level, then again reduction in the financial year 10th to a point of 0, then again a COVID lockdown scenario we saw the reduction to below 0, that is negative export. Again as the market opens in the post lockdown scenario it rises to a higher level. Now what is steps taken by India to strengthen the free trade agreement? Free trade agreements को इंडिया ने बढ़ाया है and that is again measures to improve exports. Exports हमने कैसे बढ़ाए हैं? Export are being rising by strengthening ROO mechanism, return on origin. So the products that are being sold at the market being returned to the origin that are having a strengthened mechanism under custom administration of rules under trade agreement CROTSAR, that is CAROTRAR, and that again makes very important part for your UPSC point of view. So CAROTRAR 2020 has been a sufficient information and documentation to convince and authenticate the imports having a preferential tariff criteria, revising of bilateral investment treaties, having 2015 in India, having existing BITs and released model BIT in 2016. Then CECA, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, Free Trade Agreement helps the development of negotiation at the bilateral investment trade, and it again remains non-discriminatory to going through the due process, and it also defines investor stable dispute settlement. Next news comes for the Brics. Now Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. It is a multilateral grouping and its composition of Brics goes for Brazil as again developing economy, India, Russia, China, South Africa. So they all get developed with a mutual partnership, trade and economic ties, mutual support and cooperation, and IPR issues with each other nations. Further, they also cater each other's help on the WTO round. World Trade Organization में भी एक दूसरे की मदद करते हैं, and they support each other at various global organs. Now NDB is a multilateral development bank. Now 6th BRICS summit was held in Russia, summit at Fortaleza in 2014, and the purpose was authorized capital of $100 billion to support the public and private infrastructure development project. Now BRICS held for governance structure to function through a board of governors and board of directors to president and vice president of the board. They all work together in the coordination of BRICS decision making. Now next part is what is MDI, multilateral development institutions. So forming Bretton Woods institutions, rebuilding of multilateral development institutions is earliest was IMF, World Bank and BRICS Bank. So BRICS Bank बन गया दोस्तों, and now it has aimed to cater the needs that are developed and tackled by IMF and World Bank, and now it provides an international financial institution chartered by 2 or more countries that provides encouraging economic development program. Poorer nations and helping the MDI at social economic conditions. It also provides the traditionally initiative from development countries, and also last few decades NGB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, has been emerging in forms of multilateral institutions. They also help in developing countries in funds capital intensive activity like infrastructure, energy, education and environmental sustainability. Now, we see that how major global and regional multilateral institutions work with India membership. So, MDI work at World Bank Group, that is IBRD, IFCA, IDA and MEGA. Remember this data for your prelims point of view. Then headquarter of World Bank is Washington, USA. IBRD 189 members, IFC 185, IDA 173, MEGA 182. Concession and non-concessional loans, equity investment, grants and loan guarantee. Now, there is International Monetary Fund established in 1944. Washington again headquarter, 190 members, mainly policy based incentive and privatization, agriculture, electricity and policy reform. Then there is African Development Bank, AFDB, 1964 established, and African Development Fund 1972. Abidjan, Ivory Coast is the headquarter, Abidjan, and how many members? 81 members. Then non-concessional and concessional loans granted by African Development Fund. Then Asian Development Bank is established in 1966, Asian Development Fund 1973. Madeleine Metro Manila is the headquarters, 68 members, non-concessional and concessional loans granted by Asian Development Fund. Then New Development Bank, NDB or Brics Bank, established in 2014, Shanghai, China is the headquarters, and it is the recent members. It guarantees syndicate between loans to private investors, equity investors and project bonds to co-financing arrangement with other MDIs. Then Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, established in 2016, having headquarter at Beijing, China, and membership of 103 nations, provides loans, investments, equity capital, guarantee with open option underwriting. Now, World Bank Group includes the IDA, International Development Association, International Financial Corporation, IBRD, MEGA, ICSED, and UAE and Uruguay are proposed meeting will be added in the new bank investments. Now, another news which goes for the headline is suspension and expulsion of the international organization. So, in Afghanistan, we see that a terrorist group, that is a left-wing extremist Taliban group, has taken over the government, and it is governing the various policy measures, governance and administration of Afghanistan. That is again a matter of contention between India and Afghanistan. Although India has made a huge investment in terms of Afghanistan, and Afghanistan having various international organizations such as IMF, which provided the funds until clarity within the international community. Then there was the Taliban government. Then World Bank also halted the funding for the projects over the Afghanistan, and United Nations has provided the Unsc and security measures. UN refused to recognize the Taliban government when the group was in charge of Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. SARC as well, Pakistan's insistence was on Taliban representation, and on the sidelines SARC meeting was also cancelled by India. Okay. Next is permanent members and veto rights at UNSC. So United Nations Security Council की जब हम बात करते हैं, then there are 5 members which are at the permanent level which took forth the decision of the SHAC. So UNSC is having Africa with 3 number of countries, Asian 2 countries are there, Latin America 2 countries with non-permanent membership. India is now having a 2 years presidency at the UNSC, 2 years presidency. It presides for the 2 years period over the UN Security Council. So Western Europe have 2 members, Eastern Europe is 1 member. Security Council has the primary responsibility within UN to maintain the international peace and security. It is only United Nations body that provides the power to decision making obliged and implement. Now international laws that took into power over the international organizations. So international organization broadly divided into 2 categories on provision of expulsion or suspension of member countries, on the containing of expulsion and suspension of member countries. For instance, UN Charter allows UNGA members to take part in various kind of activities. Further, if such nation is found to be engaged in various kind of threatening activities, such as North Korea was found in developing nuclear bombs, then North Korea's membership was curtailed. Okay, and similarly UN Security Council has a persistence principle reflected in the UN Charter. Article 5 of UN Charter allows the suspension of the country from UN membership. तो UN membership आर्टिकल 5 के द्वारा नॉर्थ कोरिया और ईरान को हटा दिया गया है ना. आर्टिकल 26 clause 2 of International Monetary Fund envisages suspension and expulsion of member countries. Other IOs, that is international organization, in comparison to SARC, fills in this category. Other power to suspend, expel countries based on doctrine laid down by the International Court of Justice, and it has situation based on the country which can face a regime in the country, anti-democratic rule and suppression of the peoples, such as in Myanmar we are saying the huge crisis of democracy. Then in Pakistan, in Afghanistan there are crisis of democracy. Now what are the agreements on part of India-US agenda? इंडिया और यूएस रिलेशन की हम बात करते हैं तो हम देखते हैं मित्रों कि क्या क्या एग्रीमेंट हुए हैं. सो दैट इज लेमोआ लॉजिस्टिक एग्रीमेंट एंड मेमोरेंडम ऑफ एक्सचेंज, लेमोआ, in which any Indian plane or logistic carrier is going inside the USA or any kind of territory, then that carrier will be refueled and provided assistance by US Navy. So that is LEMOA signed in 2016 by the PM Modi government. Then there is COM-CASA, Communication Compatibility and Security Agreement, established 2018 for interoperability in militaries and sale of high technology India. Then BECA, Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement for high-end military technology, logistics and geospatial maps. Remember this point, very very important. Geospatial data that are provided inside the news and any kind of territory of India or USA that can be procured at a reasonable level by the both army. Then GESOMIA, General Security of Military Information Agreement, GESOMIA. Then there is a sharing of military information by both countries. Very very important agreement. Now what is the news and economy? We see that Niti Aayog recently launched reports of reforms in urban planning. The reforms in urban planning capacity report was launched by Niti Aayog. नीति आयोग के द्वारा रिफॉर्म इन अर्बन प्लानिंग रिपोर्ट लॉन्च की गई है एंड दैट रिपोर्ट शोज दैट हाउ अर्बन प्लानिंग इज बीइंग डन in order to increase the potential of population. So the population census was 2011 census. 2011 के census की रिपोर्ट पे 377 million population थी, and that raises in the 2011 36. So 73% of rise in the population is predicted by SECC data, which is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Earlier estimation indicated on 50% rise by urban and 2050 by UN Habitat report. What is economic contribution? Urbanization countries are nearly 60% of India's GDP. Then geographical share is urban land in India is 3.1%, and classification of urban agglomeration, that is statutory towns, special towns and special economic zone in terms of smart cities. So they are having local bodies such as municipal corporation, municipalities, municipal committees and so on. So urban planning has a major impact in UN Sustainable Development Goal. Goal number 11 क्या कहता है मित्रों? Goal 11 sees that whenever there is a development of city, it should be a sustainable development. There should be planning for the environment protection. There should be planning for proper electrification. Health system should be proper. Education will be provided to everyone, and there should be water to every household. That are basic facilities provided in the goal number 11. International measures for planned economic development. Then UN Habitat, United Nations Habitat also provides the international guideline on urban territorial planning. Besides UN Sustainable Development Goal 11, UN Habitat and United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience Guideline, which provides for any cities being developed in any part of country or the world that needs to be protected from the disaster, and that has a disaster resilience mechanism. Now what is Sendai framework? Again passed in 2005, Sendai framework for disaster resilience infrastructure is also meant for the urban cities and urban agglomeration development. Now what is next news is steps taken for India for urban planning and development. So 74th constitutional amendment 1992 1992 का 74वां संविधान संशोधन प्रोवाइड करता है गाइडलाइंस फॉर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ अर्बन सेक्टर, म्युनिसिपैलिटीज, स्मार्ट सिटीज एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज. That again makes very important point for your prelims as mains point of view. It also leads for metropolitan planning committee and district planning committees so far. It includes model building by laws 2016. It also aims for smart city mission and Atal mission for rejuvenation of urban transformation, Amrut mission and smart cities. Then it also aims to provide the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, and there is a mission Urban which helps for introduction to ensure housing for all and clean urban environment respectively. It also aims for ease of living index, which also provided by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Then 15th Finance Commission 15 also provides recommendation for the urban development with a fund infusion of 8,000 crore rupees to states, and for incubation of new cities there is a proposal fund of rupees 1,000 crore, and state can have only one new city under the proposed scheme. एक राज्य को एक कैपिटल एक अर्बन सेक्टर डेवलप करने के लिए 8,000 करोड़ के फंड में से that percentage of fund is provided under this proposal under 15th Finance Commission. Now planning of healthy cities. So how healthy cities are planned by intervention existing in the master plan for their development, and they are provided through the various kind of challenges under the planning of urban sector agglomerates. So urban sector की development के लिए कुछ plans add किए गए हैं friends, and that are part of this optimum stabilization. So it is done by assessment of needs, aspirational citizens, development of inclusion of specific proposals with clear responsibility. It provides the preparation of interoperable base map for the cities and GIS platform. Further, it also provides optimum utilization of urban land. When there is a land which is being provided for urban development, then the forest is cut down, the grassland are also chopped off. तो उस क्षेत्र का पूर्णतया विकास होना चाहिए by a total investment by government. So it provides sub scheme for preparation, revision and development, regulation for optimum utilization and maximize the efficiency of urban land form for a healthy city program. Next, it adds for re-engineering of urban governance. Urban governance जब होती है उसकी re-engineering की जाती है by providing mechanized formulations, dynamics and standardized organized structure, and also providing the rules and regulations for authorities, extensive adoption of technology for enabling public participation and interagency coordination. Further, it adds the human resource development and capacity building, HRD. Then for development of urban agglomerate, human development issues are provided, and that are provided to filling up of vacant position of the town planning. जो भी वैकेंट पोजीशन रह गए हैं किसी भी शहर में उसको फिल करने के लिए ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट मेजर्स काम आते हैं. एंड द सैंक्शन ऑफ एडिशनल टाउन प्लानर्स पोस्ट एंड लैटरल एंट्री पोजीशंस. नेक्स्ट इज अंडरटेकिंग रिक्विजिट अमेंडमेंट्स इन देयर रिक्रूटमेंट रूल्स and ensure entry of qualified candidates into town planning. So such smart towns and cities which are being developed by government policies are having qualified people and the technocrats, bureaucrats and industrialists who will be provided various kind of facilities along with the hospitals for various amenities. Then there will be a supermarket for marketing and purchasing of goods. There will be electricity by subdivision, there will be schools and colleges for proper education, and there will be a hospital for the health and medicine system. So these are all components of the urban planning and urban development. Keep it in mind whenever you are writing UPSC mains question, जब आप mains question लिख रहे हो तो इन चीज़ों को आप ध्यान में रखेंगे. What are the reforms leading to rising indebtedness? So ऋण की मात्रा बढ़ते जा रही है मित्रों. हम देख रहे हैं कि इन पोस्ट कोविड सिचुएशन various companies, various organization, MSMEs got bankrupt and various rise of indebtedness over various sectors. So that is again there.